What's going on, guys? We are back and we are joined with Karenjeet Bains. How are you? How's it going?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you doing? Feeling pumped for this?
Good, good. Well, first we talked about, your achievements and what it takes to be a champion. But I thought we would dive deep into kind of the hardships and the things behind the scenes, what people don't see. So, people would see all of your medals and your trophies, but there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. And I'm sure it has a good impact on your mental health, but also it might have a reverse role on your mental health. So I just thought we could touch on that.
Okay, yeah. So in terms of sport, I think if you want to look at the positive sides, it can be amazing for your mental health. I think personally for me, getting into powerlifting, especially if you've got, I'm also like a chartered accountant, so you've had a stressful day in the office and you want to unleash it on the weights. When I used to work in London, I used to train at the work gym and I'd see all my colleagues there, and then in the evening they'd see a different beast coming out to deadlift and everyone would run away. So I think it's amazing for good endorphins and that kind of thing and making you feel good. I think sport has always been good for that. I'd always recommend. But, there can be a bit of a dark side of the mental health that often athletes don't talk about. I faced many adversities before. I had an injury once that lasted 2 years.
Oh, wow.
So I injured here my left piriformis muscle, which is a deep kind of nerve pain here. And it took me out of competitive sport for 2 years. So just before then, I was only 19 years old.
19?
Yeah, when I did it. And, I'd just come back from my first ever Commonwealth Games. I'd placed 5th.
Wow.
I'd broke 2 British records then, and the England team had their eyes on me. I was the next upcoming person. But then, it's during those times that sometimes unexpected things happen. I got injured, and it's just I had to overcome those mental barriers, start from the empty bar.
How do you do that? How do you get back into something when, you've been injured? How do you, motivate yourself again?
I think it's just that never giving up attitude. I didn't want to accept that at 19. I had to retire and it was over. So I think it's just, you had to keep going. But obviously there were times when I was I don't know if I can do this again. Because when you're lifting your max weights and then you're can't even do the empty bar again, it's so demoralizing as an athlete, when what you love is taken away from you for that kind of period of time. It can be really dark and depressing, but it's I had the support of my family. My dad is my coach. He always said to me Karen, you're like a phoenix. He goes, you rise from the ashes, bigger and better than ever, sort of thing. So it's having that good support system and slowly built myself back up. But I think it's important to talk about the dark sides like injury and depression. Athletes go through this and it definitely is relatable, but you just can't give up.
Because people obviously see your physical side, and obviously you have your physical challenges, like you just mentioned, your injuries.
Yeah.
But more so, would you say there are more mental challenges involved in sports?
Yeah, I think mental challenges, I think you're always going to reach, sometimes when you're attempting a new personal best, I always think you win it in the mind before you win it, on the platform. Because sometimes you can psych yourself out and you're oh, I've never done this before. The doubt creeps in. You're not sure. The fear. It's all about overcoming the fear. But I think you're forced to face your fear all the time. You can overcome. You don't really know how strong you are. There is no limit on how strong. There's women that I compete against that I look up to. They're absolutely killing it. They're insane. So strong. Sky's the limit. And literally, it's just I think sport just trains your mind to be focused and dedicated and disciplined. If you ever want to achieve anything in life, you've got to have that kind of mindset.
Nice. I think sports in the Punjabi community or South Asian community is overlooked. Most parents would be just be your doctor, lawyer, engineer, accountant.
I guess I'll tick that one.
Yeah, tick that one. And sports is neglected. I went to a Sikh school and it's more about the maths, English, science, less about the sports. We would always be the last school to submit our team. But I feel people need to realise how important it is for kids, students, mental health. You said you joined at 9, you started off at around 19.
Powerlifting at 17, it was at 17. But yeah, I think I agree with you. I'm always trying to hopefully be a role model for any young people watching out there. If you have something you're passionate about, academics, okay, fair enough, are important. Our parents are trying to do best by us, get a good career, good job. I guess I ticked that box too. I did my studies, got my first, went to Durham, did all that kind of thing.
Everything.
Yeah, I did that. But then it's also important to have a passion. You only live once, and when you're young, you've got the energy to have passion and follow your dreams. I'm always trying to, for my message, like push that academics and sport can go hand in hand. The discipline that you put towards your studies, you can put towards your sport. And like, your kids need a break sometimes, you know, it gets really overwhelming, you get really stressed. It can be anything that you're passionate about, but you got to have a balance. Because if you're not balanced, like even when I went for like interviews and stuff, I talk more about like my powerlifting and winning and all that kind of thing.
And they love that more than the actual like the A star.
Yeah, it's good to be a well-rounded individual. So I'm always, hopefully, if some people can see my example and then they can go to their parents like, look, this girl's done it, just give me a chance. I think it's really important for parents to like support their kids and their dreams, because often I see, you know, after school clubs, they drop their kids off at school, but at the end of the day, your kids want to make you proud, right? They want you to be there to every practice session, watch it, be part of your successes. Like my parents, when I was little, came to watch me throw like a beanbag when I was like a little girl.
Egg and spoon
yeah, exactly. And then all the way up to like winning races, because they were there. I knew they'd always be there, and I think that's one of the messages that I'd love to encourage is like, you got to support your kids and their dreams. Like, don't crush their dreams, because you don't want them having any regrets or saying I could have done this, but you stopped me. So I think, you know, it's 21st century now. We need to kind of open
the barriers.
Break barriers, you know. You set your own standard of what you can achieve.
You've always been, you know, that woman who breaks barriers, breaks stigmas and taboos, and that's great. But obviously you've been lucky enough to have, you know, supportive family, brothers, mum and dad. But what advice or what would you say to those individuals who, you know, want to give it a go, but they might not have that, you know, support system around them?
Yeah, I think especially if I'm talking about like, say, girls getting to lifting weights, I think if your brothers are going, like, say to them you want to go with them, make them like, create like a supportive environment so that, you know, your brothers and sisters are training together, they're able to like learn the weights and not feel conscious. I'm always about encouraging and helping women, so if anyone ever needs any tips and advice, please just reach out to me on like social media. Yeah, DM me, I'm always happy to help, because I know I was like the first British Sikh female for like powerlifting for Great Britain, but I don't want to be the last. I'm hoping to like be an example for many more young girls out there. That would just be the dream, to say like, look at how much diverse and minority people are now competing for Great Britain. That would just be insane. So yeah, I think just, you know, go with even your friends. Like, don't be afraid of the weight section. Like, I know it can be intimidating when you see like big guys, testosterone filled, and they're kind of like grunting away, and you're like, oh, I don't feel like I'm. Own your space. Like, don't be conscious. We all started somewhere. Like, you might see me lifting big weights now, but I did start from like the empty bar and stuff. Like, we all started somewhere, and like, it's important to learn good technique. Like, don't try and put the big weights on into yourself and never come back again. You know, go with friends. There's loads of resources even on like YouTube and stuff you can learn, tutorials, or even ask me. But yeah, just give it a go, because I think often girls don't do weights because they're like, oh, I'm going to get bulky, I don't want to look like, I don't know, like Arnold Schwarzenegger with like a wig on or something. But it's just not possible. Like, I've been lifting heavy for like a long time now. So I'm 25 now, since I was 17. And if you want that toned figure, you got to lift heavy weights. So
have you ever received any comments like that? Like, oh, your arms are too big or anything?
Yeah, I think sometimes in the office I've had people say, oh, your arms, you got wham arms, like stuff like that, like big arms and that. But it's okay, like, I'll take it as a compliment. Like, people,
you're strong, you're healthy.
Yeah, like, even like I got big strong legs and all that kind of thing. Like, but you got to be proud of who you are, in your space. Like, all this kind of body positivity. Like, I'm always about championing that kind of message. You know, I'm in a sport where you feel strong, you feel good about yourself. You know, it's not about what you look like or just how much weight you can lift. It's you against the bar. Like, there is no discrimination. It's either pick it up or you don't. Like, that's what I love about this sport. Like, you don't have pressure to look a certain way. Because I know on social media you see models, you see people airbrushed, you see they're looking perfect. But, you know, when you get to the down and dirty, it's not pretty, it's not glamorous, but you have to go through all that hard work to get to like the winning like position, really. So. And
then do you like that, just like all of that hard work?
Oh yeah,
just to pick up that trophy?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think it's all about the journey. Like, even I'm almost grateful for my injury in a way, because it made me a much more disciplined and better athlete coming back into the sport. I think you've got to go through tough times and lows, because it makes for a better story. Like, life is like a roller coaster. You have to go through ups and downs to appreciate, because like every time I go now compete for like Great Britain, I almost feel lucky I'm back in this position. I feel blessed, that because you know, when it's taken away from you, you appreciate it way more.
So much more, so much more. It's like you don't know what you missed until
until it's gone, right? Yeah.
You are the reigning Commonwealth champion for powerlifting.
Yeah.
That must be so intimidating for some guys. They must be thinking, I do not want to be near her. Like, has that affected your like personal life? Like, what do guys have to say?
I think sometimes there are guys that kind of get intimidated, especially when I tell them like my numbers, like I can squat 150 kilos, I can like bench press 95 kilos, I can deadlift 170 kilos, and they're like, wow, I can't even do that. Like, I think almost sometimes they assume I'm intimidating and quite scary by how much like kind of weights I can lift. But honestly, I think it's more their problem than my problem. If you're intimidated by me, I like to think, I guess when I'm in athlete mode, I can be quite focused and, you know,
driven, like
but
tunnel vision.
You see me coming out for the deadlift, I'm like warrior cry, like screaming and everything. But yeah, it can get intimidating, but I think gone are the days where the females are the weaker sex. I don't believe in that anymore, like gender stereotypes and everything. You can be strong, you can be female. Strong can be beautiful at the end of the day. So I think I'm all about breaking barriers, and if someone's intimidated by it, then that's on them.
Well, it's been lovely speaking with you here today. Final words from you. Can we be expecting to see you at any other competition soon?
Yep, so I've just come back from the World Bench Press Championships in Lithuania, so it was my first competition as a senior, so I placed 6th in that.
Congratulations.
So thank you so much. This is where I got my GB singlet from. So I'm aiming to be, in the future, hopefully the first female world champion in powerlifting.
Fingers crossed. Let's go.
Yeah, so I've got national competitions next year, maybe a Commonwealth Games in New Zealand, so really exciting. But I think one of my other roles is just kind of inspiring the next generation, hopefully doing amazing things like with yourself and having this talk will help, you know, towards that.
Definitely. Well, like I said again, it's lovely speaking with you today. And I hope to see you soon, winning and picking up more trophies and medals.
Thank you so much.